everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Lawanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And of course, I'm Ron.
And I'm Jason.
Akachi.
I'm Ron.
I'm Jaunice.
All right, we have our guest spotters here with us as we just wrapped our interview with Angela
Lewis.
Angela Lewis. Mm-hmm. Sorry, my brain is off today, but yes, Angela Lewis, and she plays Aunt Louie in Snowfall. So now we're getting ready to roll into our discussion of episode 3 titled Lions. So guys, hang tight and we'll get started. Back. Like I said, we're talking episode 3 of Snowfall season 5. It looks like everything is starting to fall out now that Reed is back, and the big topic of conversation is, Reed not being willing to honor the price that Grady had previously allowed. And so now Franklin has to go back and fill everybody in that yesterday's price is not today's price. So he's trying to get it together. And of course, Louie and Jerome are not happy about it.
Well, I think strategically it was a smart thing for Franklin not to, upset the apple cart at that point, not to get angry. But, I kind of felt a certain way by not challenging Teddy's, demeanor, because he was so, let's face it, Teddy's been out for a minute. He's not the Reed character he used to be. And, I didn't know whether Franklin might stand up to him a little bit more, but he kind of played back and played it cool, because that is a lot to ask your lower, the staff that you have out there, because you got to make a profit in this thing, or you just can't, you can't move product without a profit.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting to me that Teddy kind of called him out, and he was like, is it my price that's the problem, or is it you and your people that's the problem?
Right.
And I was like, no, he didn't.
Yes, he did, because he's been watching. He's been watching from the sideline, so he knew that Franklin was playing the middleman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just unfortunate because it creates all of this blowback for everybody else when you have said something to a bunch of people and given them your word, i.e. Scully and his crew.
Right.
But it's a good point about, recognizing the kind of pressure that Franklin is under. Teddy is extremely dangerous. The working for the government, the CIA, is one thing, but in particular, specifically, Teddy is dangerous. He is unhinged. His thought pattern, is so self-serving, but it's also something else going on with him, right? It's him trying to stay relevant, trying to stay connected, trying to stay in the middle of things, that he'll take anybody out. It doesn't matter. And so I think Franklin is almost like doing a snake dance. You know that this animal is dangerous. You being real careful about how you move and navigate until you can figure out how you're going to win and how you're going to be safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To me, it almost seems like Franklin and Teddy are sort of mirroring each other, though.
True.
In a sense.
I think so. I think so.
Because they came in at the beginning, kind of feeling this whole thing out, where they're going to go, how far they're willing to go, what they're willing to do. And now it's like they both have their sights on something, and there's some opposition there with one another.
Yeah.
But they're mirroring.
Check your gangster. He's saying you can't come up in here being half a gangster. You know my story with the Bulwark Empire. And he's saying basically to Franklin, look, you're not going to come up in this game and start getting soft now, because getting soft is going to end everything that we got going on. So he's saying, check it, but we're not changing prices. He said, what you're going to do is fix your organization, which makes sense, because at the end of the day, as you get soft, somebody's going to try to take you out. That's just how the game works. And he's like, I'm not working with you if you're on that game plan. It's the same. Is what was the gentleman that got killed? What's his name again? Because I keep forgetting.
Mello.
Oh,
Mello.
Mello.
The one that Teddy came back and killed. I'm talking about.
Oh, Grady.
Grady.
Oh, Grady, yeah.
When it was with Grady, they started getting off. You know what I'm saying? Grady's having parties. He's throwing these cocaine events. Everything's out of order. He's like, we're going to tighten up the ship. We're getting rid of this clown, and you're going to get back to the way we were, because it's with the way the business has to be in order for it to be successful. They have to be as possible. So I don't think that Teddy's necessarily trying Franklin as much as he's saying, if you're going to do this thing, we can't play games and be sloppy. You can't have your people just run wild. You need to get your people in check and get people back on board, because this is a serious business.
But
Yeah, I think
isn't
that-
Teddy? I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Oh,
Jaunice.
I think that Teddy is somewhat of a mentor to Franklin, and he may need that. In addition to that, Teddy is also, Franklin is also setting boundaries. When he said to him at that scene, when they met for drink or whatever, he said to him, don't come to my house or come around my business without letting me know. So I do think he respects him as a mentor. And I think that he did give him some good advice, because, Jerome and Louis will run all over him. Louis, I'm telling you, you guys had the right guest on earlier, because, she's getting everything she wants. She got her bar, she's running the business, but she does understand that as a woman, there's certain things, certain ways we have to move. And I'm glad that she has her muscle, Jerome, there to have her back.
Yeah.
But speaking of messy, I feel like Teddy is messy, because when you go to his office, clearly he is still doing coke.
Yeah.
He had alcohol and stuff. Teddy is not clean. So he's a vigilante, but he ain't clean. And he is one to talk to tell Franklin to get his house in order.
That's true.
Exactly.
And I found it good of Franklin to ask about his father, because that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let's just try to clear this big thing out. And so he asked, and of course Reed is lying to him. And I think Franklin is picking up on it. I think he knows that.
He knows.
Yeah, there's no way he believes that Reed had nothing to do with why he can't get in touch with Alton.
And I watched that scene again. Reed had 1,000,001 excuses of things that could have happened to your father, other than the fact that you took him out.
Right.
That was a bad giveaway.
Yeah, that was it. That was giveaway.
Yeah, and so I don't know, Reed, he's gonna continue to be a huge problem. And I'm kind of glad that Franklin acted as the barrier between Reed when Aunt Louie was asking to go and see him in person, because Reed is so erratic, and you never know how he might respond to that. And I just would hate to see something go left, especially with Louie, because that's one of my favorite characters on the show.
Going left again, it shows lack of control. He can't have everybody just running up to the boss and saying, "Hey, this is how I feel," and voice a complaint. It's a funnel, and the funnel has to go a certain way. I think the thing that we're kind of leaving out, I guess, again, is like I said, this is a business, and when you got a business, you got a point person that deals with said business. So if you're talking about, okay, Reed or Teddy, however you want to call him, he's saying, "Look, I'm the one that talks to Teddy, not you guys. We can't have 7 different messages coming to the same person, because that's going to get us all in trouble." Because at the end of the day, he has to check. He has to also be quality control for what's coming through that pipeline. Because if the wrong information comes out, everybody's going to get hurt. How would he kill?
Yeah.
But
it's called a chain of command.
Well, I agree with Jason. That's why Teddy. Franklin. We've had some discussion about, is Franklin becoming this arrogant, doesn't care about his friends and so forth. And I don't believe that that's the case. It's just that you can't, as Jason was saying, you can't have a lot of loose lips in your organization. When you see that, you have to believe that that's what it is. And you have to do something about it, because it only takes that one time to say something to the wrong person, and your whole organization is down the drain. So, I don't disagree that Franklin might be showing, a little more of himself than he had in previous seasons, but I also believe he has to, because, he has to rein in his group. And the only way to do it is to do it sometimes do it with a strong hand.
And his stakes are higher.
Say again?
His stakes are higher.
That's
He
Yes.
has a
right.
job coming.
That's right.
I was gonna say the same thing. I said, you gotta think about what his girl told him. Like, she made him
Right.
promise, like, promise me that you're gonna do whatever you have to do to protect my child. And he even said to Leon, he was like,
Yeah.
listen, this is why Veronique is pregnant. This is why I gotta keep this ish tight.
Yeah. But you know, in terms of the family dynamic, like, and I mentioned this in our interview with Angela, like Louis is a formidable, like opponent, well, not even an opponent to Franklin, but a good backup. Like, she holds her own on several occasions. And we kind of seen that, especially this week, where she had to go and try to clean up the mess with Mello and Scully and all of them, because they were about ready to take them out. You know, it really got that bad, because when you can't honor your word, that's something serious in the streets. And so she really did a good job cleaning that mess up, and not only cleaning it up, but getting rid of the rat in the crew, you know.
Louis is awesome. I mean, she thinks of every detail. I remember the scene when she approached the two ladies, the two contract killers at their children's school. She even had the thought to give the children
The lollipops.
Yeah. She was like, she gave me something. I was like, oh no, this lady is on etiquette.
And one of them was the one that shot her too. One of them. And so I'm like, she's willing to let bygones be bygones for the sake of, you know, getting things done.
Is she though?
She might not. I mean, I'm just gonna say, she might not forgive and forget, but she's definitely going to use you for what she needs to do.
But she also,
I agree.
Position. She was consigliere at one time. She went from consigliere to working her way to boss. And I think that, again, these are all transitions that cause for adjustment, and they can't just jump. You can't just jump from one lane to the next lane and think there won't be any kind of issues or any consequences. And Franklin's not going to let anybody overtake his role. If he's not letting his uncle overtake his role, you know, he's not letting anybody overtake his role.
But you know what, you bring a good point, Jason. When you think about it in terms of boss, employee, entrepreneur, the best ones are people who've done all the jobs, so they understand all the points. Right. Franklin has never been really on that street level, so he doesn't get it. He's always been in executive or management, right? So he comes with this attitude of force. Just do it because I said do it, when he may not. It's almost like he doesn't get the nuance, right? You're asking people, and I think that's the difference I'm thinking about between Louis. You have to understand what you're asking people to do, like really get it in order for it to make sense and be able to convince them to do it. If you don't understand the pressure that they're on and you just telling them to do it, that's when you get pushback. And that's when people trying to figure out how they can get away from you.
And that's why I felt in the beginning when he spoke with Teddy and Teddy was reluctant to lower the cost, that Franklin was putting his people in harm's way, because as you said, they're the ones that's got to go out and make those deals with, you know, crazy folk like your boy. And you know, you're putting them in harm's way when they got to go out there and break a promise. You know, I wanted to see him, you know, be a little more forceful with Teddy and say, look, I have to get this deal because this is what's out in the street. It makes no sense for you to force your hand with me and I lose my people, and therefore I can't deliver anyway.
I think Franklin is trying to figure it out. I think he's trying to play his position on how to deal with Teddy, because he recognizes that, you know, like LaWanda said, he is dangerous. But I think the wheels are turning though, because especially when he went to that spot and he realized, he was like, he's watching me and stuff. Like, he knows Teddy is an op. And so I think that from the remaining of the season, he's going to be on point and he's going to be working towards you can feel the tension every time they're together, even if they're talking, you know, and generally you can feel the tension. So it's working up towards a confrontation.
And that's what makes Franklin more dangerous than Teddy. What you just said.
Could be.
Because he
Teddy's
knows
underestimating him.
Exactly. Teddy is underestimating him, and Franklin knows his game. And you know, so Franklin's already peaked his game. So Franklin is definitely, to me, more dangerous than Teddy. Teddy needs to watch out, if anybody needs to watch out.
Now, do y'all think that Teddy saw Franklin look up at the building?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
so he's
Yeah,
aware
yeah,
that
Yeah.
Franklin is onto him.
Yeah,
Because the
yeah.
conversation changed.
The
When
It
he,
changed
when
too
he
quickly.
realized, he changed it and he said, I think Teddy's great. I think he's
Right.
wonderful.
I know Franklin knew that he was up there, but I'm wondering
Yeah.
if Teddy noticed that he knew.
Oh,
But he
yeah.
When
paused.
he heard the
if you remember.
conversation change,
Yeah.
I think he did
Question.
know.
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
paused. Remember, when he looked up, he was talking about something. Then he looked up and paused. And if Teddy is any kind of up,
right.
you gotta
He
know.
can see him look up there.
Teddy
Right.
knew.
Right,
Teddy
you
knew.
gotta know that you've been had. So
Right.
you know
Right.
that
Ron
was
H, you was getting ready to say something. I think we cut you
Oh,
off.
I was just gonna say that, I agree. Like with regards to Teddy being very careful and aware of Franklin, not underestimating him, because Franklin has that he's got the smarts to be a little bit of on the same wavelength as Teddy, but he also has a different element. He was raised in a different area. He knows a different thing. So like the combination of the both of them, makes him very dangerous. And the other thing is, I was thinking back to that scene in the house when Reed was there and he said, "No, call me Teddy." I think at that point Franklin knew, listen, this person is not the same person that I thought was out the game. This is a different guy who's coming back. I gotta watch this guy.
Like Sasha Fierce and Beyonce.
Right.
Right, because Reed was the undercover dude.
Mhm.
Now he's like, oh, I'm being who I am. I'm Teddy. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Teddy gotta go.
Yeah.
Teddy, Reed, whoever, he gotta go.
He's playing hardball for real now. He's out there. Oh, I'm out here now. So okay, the game is real now.
Yeah, but because Teddy is such a threat now, and not that he hasn't always been, but even more so now, I would really like to see Franklin, Jerome, and Louis get back on the same page, because it's too much of a threat to have infighting.
True.
And so I want them to get back together and try to work this out. They've already gotten rid of Scully as a huge threat. And I think that Louis knows how to be peaceable, and she's a very good person at meeting people in the middle. And so I feel like going forward, they should try to lean on her more so.
Absolutely. Do you all think that Teddy and Scully are drinking the same Kool-Aid? Because both of them are crazy.
well.
They are. Look, when I seen Scully cutting that man's ear off, I was like, Lord,
It's different types of crazy.
Let me
and
tell
that's
you
why
something.
I think y'all's point about Franklin not being on the ground level and seeing all the mess that goes down, like that's one of the things that's enough to really frighten you and make the threat real. But he is kind of pulled away from that, being on the higher end of the business.
But
So I mean, I know he knows that Scully is crazy. Franklin has had his run-ins with Scully, but to what extent? This is a different Scully we're seeing. He's lost baby girl, he's lost his girlfriend, and not only that, but it's their birthday, one of the birthdays.
It was
So
the
it's
baby's
kind of like bringing up
birthday.
feelings for him, and it's taking him to a whole nother level of crazy.
But if they're drinking the same Kool-Aid, Scully's Kool-Aid is spiked. That's all I'm gonna say.
A lot of sugar in his Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I mean, you got some
Listen, they
heavy-
both crazy, but Teddy crazy too, because he's that vigilante crazy. He like those, let me not say, some of these political folks that are like really like America first. Like he's like that.
Look, once a federale, always a federale. Once a CIA, always a CIA. You're not going to get that out of you, and I think that's what's wrong with Teddy. But Teddy has lost a lot. And so he's at a position now where he doesn't, in my mind, he doesn't care what he
gave up a lot. Teddy, he gave it up. He gave up a lot.
Well,
Because
that's what I mean by
his woman
loss.
was like, let's go. You don't have to do this.
No.
We have a child. Let's go start another life. He is in it talking about, no, I got the mission.
Yeah.
He chose this life.
No, it's true. And that's what I meant by loss. When I say loss, I don't mean, it was intentional. He lost it intentionally. He gave it up, in other words, but nonetheless, it's still a loss. And I think, and remember, he went back crying to get back into the CIA, so he wants to be back, but it's just interesting to me how Teddy thinks that he can do this without Franklin. He needs Franklin.
No, he can find another Franklin. He needs Franklin, but in his mind, he feels like he could just replace Franklin with somebody else to do it, because he's not necessarily, I mean, he knows he's smart, he knows he's young, but he still, in his mind, thinks I can find another to do this.
Yeah, does he really
And
think that,
that's
or
what
is that
he
a
wrote.
business? Is that one of those business type of analogies that you try to make?
He thinks that. I think he, you know, sociopathic behavior and mindset causes him to be, I don't want to say mission oriented, but he has one thing in mind of how to get this done, or I'm going to get this done and I'm going to do whatever I can to get it done. It's not about morals. There's definitely no code. It's, I want a particular result. I'm willing to do everything to get that result. It can be Franklin. It could be somebody else who looks like Franklin or not. Anybody that I can use as a tool to get this result, that's what Teddy is willing to do.
Yeah, I just think that he doesn't see Franklin's value necessarily in how well he has run the organization. And he takes care of business. Any other person might bring you a bunch of other issues, a bunch of other liabilities that put you at risk. And Franklin has, for the most part, outside of Alton, been pretty discreet and protecting, Teddy's former identity. And so somebody else might not have that same discretion.
Right.
And he's really underestimating how well Franklin handles himself.
Yeah, because Teddy thinks he's the brain. Teddy thinks he's the brains of the operation.
Yeah, and look at how quickly he dealt with the Thad situation and killing his white boy Rob like that.
Yep.
I think all of us in that situation knew when Thad was gone already. You can kind of see that at some point Rob is going to have to go.
We know. As soon as Thad said, "Can you get your CIA guy to fix this?" I was like, Rob is out of here.
Yeah,
because I saw Franklin looking over there. I was like, easy to take out Rob.
Yeah. He said to get your CIA guy to give me a passport or something.
Yeah,
like, you think it's like that?
And just the fact that he even knew that is like, come on, man.
That's what I'm saying, because Franklin had already asked him, and Rob said he hadn't said anything to anybody. And for Thad to say it, that confirms that he ran his mouth.
Yep.
So I was like, I said, Rob is up out of here. And you knew Franklin has been discreet in protecting Teddy, because I tell you one better. He killed Andre the cop. Because when Andre went in there and took that file with that evidence about Teddy, Franklin took him out.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you.
In the words of Franklin, it needed, what do you say?
It had to be done.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question though. Do you think Franklin would have killed Rob if Rob had come clean when he asked him the first time, did you tell anybody?
Yeah.
Do you think
At the end of the day, he was a liability. Everybody, liability. That's what I'm saying. The whole idea of Teddy. What I was saying to what's her name, Angela Lewis, in regards to the character was, Teddy is all about business. Franklin is like 90% about business. Louis is more like 70-30. Every character that has a little more humanity to them are the ones that are the loose ends. And just the same way that they devised that plan to keep Scully alive, they're thinking on a moral level. Franklin's thinking on a business level. And so at the end of the day, I think that Teddy knows that he can keep Franklin under his thumb with the right information. And Franklin knows that even if he's going to go against Teddy, it's never going to be anything sporadic or sudden. Everything would have to be a laid out plan. Yeah. He's very methodical, very strategic, very pragmatic when it comes to dealing with Teddy, because he knows what he's capable of. He knows him killing a guy and then you go home. You kill Teddy, you're going to get killed anyway, because you're now looked at as a vulnerable situation and inside the organization. And so they have no problem if you kill Teddy coming to kill you, your family, everybody else who's familiar with what's going on.
Yeah. And that's why I'm worried about Wanda getting too close to Franklin, because she's on the right path right now, trying to get her life together. But we seen this episode, she came and asked him basically, could she maintenance his property, collect rents, do whatever she needed to do to get some money legally. And so I'm worried for her, because people that get too close to Franklin and learn too much about the business, she already knows the inner workings of it. I feel like she's gonna go around Leon and ask Franklin for, to gradually pull her back in.
Well,
Yeah, she's
I
out
don't
of here.
think he's gonna do that though.
and
I
remember,
think Leon would be extremely upset with Franklin.
Right. That's why I
with
said I don't think he
touch
would do
Wanda,
that.
because
I-
Leon really still loves her.
Yeah.
I said the show, episode 2, remember I said the only place that Wanda can go now is to Franklin. And I said Franklin will give her a job. And, he seemed to be a little reluctant about it, but, that's the only thing she can do.
I don't think it's gonna be a drug job. He's dabbling in
No,
real
no,
estate.
no, no.
He can give her a
No, it won't be a drug.
receptionist job.
Yeah, he's going to put her in that real estate thing.
I think she's going to ask for more though. I think she's going to say like, this money is not enough. I need something. Can you just give me a little something to sell or something like that? I feel like she's going to push him, and if he gives in or not, I don't know, but I feel like Wanda's definitely going to try it.
Why would he do that when he just killed his best friend Rob for being a junkie and stuff and a liability? He's not going to do that.
Well, Franklin already wanted to kill Wanda before.
And did you hear Leon's response when he found out? He said you couldn't send him to rehab or something. You had to kill him. Yep. So I think Leon is definitely, in each episode, he's looking at Franklin more and more sideways.
Yeah, I think the whole family is.
I was like, all of them are. I think everyone. Peaches, when he was looking at the money, he said, "No, I'd rather be alive."
Right.
Like everyone is saying like Franklin is like
everybody.
Peaches'
face when he shot Rob, he was like, and then when Franklin told Louis that Rob was out, she was like, "What you mean out? He's out." And they were looking. He and Jerome were looking. I mean, everybody is looking at him sideways.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Peaches, I don't think Peaches is gonna make it out of this season.
No.
I think you're right about your predictions about Peaches.
Yeah.
He's been sniffling a lot. I was like, what's up with all this sniffling?
I mean, I was just thinking about it, like with the time frame and everything. This is the 80s. And I think Peaches,
You got the AIDS?
Yeah, I think so.
One of our spotters said, "What kind of name is Peaches for?"
Oh God!
That's not a type of guy you want to cross, though. I ain't crossing no guy named Peaches.
Franklin said, he said, "I don't know what you got. Get out of here with that."
Right. He said, "I want to take her home to Veronique."
Right.
And I heard that.
I'm just hoping that it is a severe summer cold.
All right, you're being real hopeful and not being realistic about the times. Because if we had this cold for 3 episodes, no.
But just the fact that has a story arc, it's like going through the arc. I think, like you said, now you guys have convinced me on the HIV thing, because if it was one episode, then it makes sense that he could have been ill, or if they even addressed it in this episode, what was going on with him. But the fact that they're alluding to something means that they're rolling out something that's going to be than just a summer cold.
I just said I'm hopeful. I don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could. Yeah, I don't know, man. But you think about the fact that it is the 80s. You already see how they craft their shows, where they do want to hit real topics as well with the Lynn Bias thing. Yeah, you can kind of see this looks like it's on its way. Yeah.
And it's what she said, that the show serves a reminder, because I think we move from generation to generation, and we live through so much trauma that we get to the next thing that we forget. And I think it's important to remember what happened, how it happened, who caused it. And the fact that, we survived it, but the drugs, the crack, it decimated us. It decimated a generation. The HIV, it decimated us. It decimated a generation, and it broke up families, whether people died, whether they were murdered, the violence, whether they ended up in jail. I think it's important, like she said, for us to remember what happened. So these things tend to happen in cycles, so that the next time it comes around, we see it, and we see it when it starts, and we're able to say, no, we're not going to be a victim to that again. And so when he started sniffling, I was like, yeah, that's just another reminder, because that's how it started. It piggybacked on the drug epidemic, on crack epidemic.
Yeah, it's true. And I really enjoy Angela's interview. So guys, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you go back and look at it. But yeah, it's true. And I really like how she was talking about, exactly what you said, highlighting how this shows brings those issues to the forefront. So unfortunately for Peaches, I think his days are numbered. Sorry, Ron.
I
And I love D-Ray Davis. I love him. I hate to see him go. So
Yeah,
I
I
hope
used to
he
see him
gets a
go. I
better
mean, you know, I'd rather see him get shot than go out like that, though.
I think he,
Absolutely.
I don't think Wanda makes it out the season. I think Wanda's character is going to do something by the end. She's going to overhear something, and she's going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she's going to get it. And my second prediction is, like I said, that Peaches is out. Like I said, last week I was a little skeptical to jump the gun on that, but they're definitely playing it out. It's like definitely building into a part of the story arc. And so I don't think those two characters make it out this season.
And I wonder if they kind of highlight how the views around, like if it is indeed AIDS, the views around that at the time, like, oh, don't touch me or I might get it. Can I get it from being around you or stuff like that?
Right.
Like,
Oh,
I wonder
yeah.
if that would be highlighted.
Back then, you know, people thought if I was in the same room that you were in, breathing the same air, that I could get it. You know, it was at a time when we didn't know much of anything about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, people wouldn't shake hands, they wouldn't hug, they wouldn't do anything if they felt that you had AIDS. And, you know, and it's unfortunate. I guess the reason that I'm so hopeful with Peaches, although I can't get the name past me, but I you know, we haven't seen any kind of relational aspect of him. We don't see him date, we don't see him do anything except take care of Franklin. So that's my hope. Now,
Hey, that's actually interesting, Ron.
yeah.
He's on the peripheral. He's not supposed to be a dead center character.
No. I mean, we could have had 5 seconds of him dating somebody. You know, it didn't have to be something, you know, woven into the episode. But we just saw nothing. You know,
But
we
if they
saw
put that
nothing.
way, then what it's going to do is this is the element of surprise. I mean, the whole thing is that if you knew who he's dating, that completely takes out the element of surprise that we do find.
Well, y'all already called it. I mean, you know, all he did was showed you a few sniffles, and y'all already got the man dying of AIDS. So I mean,
But I said that, and I said that not necessarily thinking in terms of sexuality, because when it first came out, it was linked to drugs. But it assumed it was linked to sexuality, and it was linked to drugs.
white male gay men was the initial aspect of it, and then it went to the drug scene. But initially, it was white males having anal sex, and then it moved to the drug scene. And you know,
True, but I used to do stage plays, and we did a stage plays on this issue. So I read a lot about it, but it depended on the population that you were looking at.
True.
It started out that initially, but when it came to Black people, it was either drugs, and then it went to the heterosexual community really, really fast, just like it did in Africa. So whereas it started out as being a gay or a homosexual disease, it was not always like that with the Black community or even Africans in Africa, which, you know, people have their own theories about that, because if it's this, why is it impacting these people like this? And then in the late 90s, early 2000s, Black women were the fastest growing population of people diagnosed with it. So, you know, when I said that about him, I wasn't even thinking about that. That part didn't even cross my mind, because at some point it became a heterosexual disease that mainly impacted women when it came to Black people.
Well, don't forget, when it came down to diagnosis in the Black communities, we didn't get proper diagnosis. So even though it may have come across as just white gay men, they had better health care. They had better health insurance. They had better doctors. They had better everything. When it came down to that generation in the 80s, with Black people, it's just like they say Black women die more in childbirth. It's not because of anything physical. It's because they're not being addressed. The healthcare needs are not being addressed. So it's very difficult to say how you can really categorize where this character would be, because it's a retrospective. If you were kind of in real time, it's a little different than when you're looking backwards, because now the way they're writing that character, they're weaving him into, you know, the 80s. And so the way they might weave his character into it, it could be he's shooting up, but we don't get any indication that it's shooting up. So if it's not shooting up, it's probably not blood transfusion. The last thing on the list would be that he was
sex. It could be a woman. Like somebody said in the comments, they were like, "Let me find out that Peaches is out here messing with these base heads."
Yeah.
So
It could be that. It could
it
be
could be that.
But
Yeah.
I mean, but I was just gonna say real quick, it also, I mean, I thought it might have been the same time, so I had to look it up real quick. It wasn't. It actually was 1991 when Magic Johnson came out and
Yeah.
did his reveal. So I thought it might have been similar time, because then that was a time where things started to change and you saw more of it happening in heterosexual situations. But yeah, that's all I was gonna point to.
And,
Yeah, and the
you know,
early-
Yeah, and Lynn Bias passed away in 86. So they opened up the scene with that. I remember that. That was in June of 1986.
right, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
remember in the Black community, it was all about being down low. We were, you know, they were down low brothers. You didn't hear a lot about what was going on with us until sometime later, you know, few years later, because, you know, in the Black community, we were just very hush hush about what was really going on. And so you know, interesting conversation.
And I think initially what happened is people were just dying and they didn't know why they were dying.
And why would they? Yeah, well, that's another thing, you know. But then again, it's interesting because I remember reading somewhere back in 1969, a person died from acquired immune deficiency,
Well,
and that was way back. It was one person that they you know, they said he had died from acquired immune deficiency, which we deem AIDS. So, you
that's
know,
a whole other story, because there are books that talk about all these scourges.
yeah.
You know?
Well, I think
that's a whole other thing.
I think I'm gonna start a new hashtag, # pray for peaches.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, my
So
goodness.
keep hope alive, Ron. But I did want to switch and talk about this police officer that was up in Louis' office. Like, he seems like every week that we see him on the scene, he's kind of like encroaching on Louis' space more and more and more, and it kind of makes me really uncomfortable for her. And she plays it off well, but I'm still like, what is this guy's deal? Do you guys have any thoughts on him?
Well, you know how I feel about him. I already called him a Afro soft. You know, I don't like him in the first place. You know, my thought about him pulling up on Louis is a little crazy for me. And I thought once Jerome came in this episode and he kind of saw them, or, you know, I think, what's his name? Bo? What is his name? But anyway, he kind of was a little too close to Aunt Louis. And I thought maybe Jerome would say something, but he didn't. And I'm a little disappointed because I really like to see Jerome take him apart piece by piece.
Can we talk about Jerome though? Because he's been holding back a lot. Like, every scene that we think he would react strongly, he's kind of been taking the back seat. Like, especially when Louis is getting yelled at by Franklin, or when that cop is pushing up on Louis. It's like,
Yeah, that's true.
this is not the Jerome I'm used to.
Yeah, you got that. That's a good point. That's an excellent point. Mhm.
Maybe he just doesn't want to escalate things after seeing her get shot.
That's what I think.
Somebody has to have a cool head.
Right. Right. I think he's so appreciative of her being there. I mean, he said it, and he was like, listen, I'm rich, I'm alive, you over there in that skirt. I think the fact that he almost lost her really, like, hit home. You see, he has not forgiven those girls.
No.
That Franklin had for security.
He
He
told
was
her.
like, no, they're going to the highest bidder. And you know, if it wasn't for that, like, he wants to exact some type of revenge on them.
Yes, he said to the girl, how about I shoot you in your stomach? I said, yeah, it's
Right.
not, it's not over.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because I know Louis is like the outgoing, like the alpha female, but it's interesting that Jerome has been, like I said, taking the back seat, even when she was talking with Mello and even trying to negotiate things down with Scully. It's like Jerome's presence isn't felt like it used to be. And I'm just like, I wonder if Louis getting shot might have scarred him more than it scarred her. So
It might be. It kind of, it makes me think about his level of comfort, right? Because when it came to just doing things with marijuana and that lower scale stuff, he kind of knew what to expect. He knew the players. He knew his lane. It was a breeze for him. And this is why I think, you know, going back to, you know, in the very beginning when he was trying to tell Franklin, this is not something I want to jump into, and you shouldn't be involved either, because it's just so many different variables, so many different things that can come with it. And I think that's part of the reason outside of her getting, hurt and him almost losing her, I think it's also like, really watching his step. Like, I don't want to say anything or do anything to make this a bigger situation. I want everybody around me to stay cool. Like, we got to be smart and keep thinking about it, because this thing can go left at any moment. Like, there's so many different things along with this. I think he really, honestly, I think he has shown a lot of character to be behind Louis. Like, he's there for his woman and will ride with her no matter what she wants to do. Because I know he would love to be out of this game. Like, I don't think he wants to be involved with this anymore at all. So.
Yeah, I noticed a change in Jerome when there was a scene in season 4 where he wanted to go and kill the people who put Louis in the hospital. And Franklin stood before him and they were fighting. And Franklin said, when they ask me what happened to you, I'm going to tell them that I did everything I could to stop you. And he stopped beating him up. And I think that maybe that was an epiphany, or that was a moment for him to be like, hey, I can't just constantly act off of emotion in dealing with this.
But did y'all hear the last statement at the close of the episode where Franklin was telling Louis there's not anything that he's not prepared to do? And I was like, that was a strong threat.
That was a threat.
So I was wondering if that don't make Jerome step up, I don't know what will, because I feel like that's your nephew. You know how to deal with family. And Jerome has stood up to Franklin before and kind of put him in his place.
That's what I said to Angela. That's the exact point I said when we were talking to Angela. I was like, he beat Franklin's butt last season. I was surprised that he took that from Franklin, because that was a threat.
Being a strong threat, different from having to execute your sister's son. I think that's what it is. It comes back to whether or not Franklin is prepared to do whatever. They still like, this is family. There are some things we don't do. And we talked about that. There's a difference between like the OGs, they have a code. It's certain things you just don't do.
But do you think Franklin would take it that far and follow through on his threat?
I think he would try. I think he would try.
Against Louis and Jerome?
Yes. But I think what we see with Jerome is Jerome never in his wildest dreams thought he could be a millionaire, a multi-millionaire. And money changes people. So he's become a little more subdued because he has money. He's not hungry anymore. So I think that rage that you saw in Louis in previous seasons has been subdued by the multi-million dollars that they have stashed away. And so he doesn't want to lose that. And so I think that that's probably what we see in him more than anything else. It's still there, but it's, hey, I got money.
I think he's more tamed. Like, he's more calculated because of, exactly what you're saying. And he wants to ride into the sunset, if you will. Exactly. He's enjoying that life. Exactly. And so he's not just a raging bull, just, ready to go all the time. So he's paying attention to his nephew, like, okay. Yeah. I got it. He knows that he made a threat to him. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
Nephew. If you're trying to pull somebody back in under your umbrella, that's the wrong thing to say to them.
No, you're right. I don't know how that's going to work out because, first of all, we got Aunt Louie. She's already on that avenue. Hey, I can do this by myself. I don't need.
I don't even think it's just that. Like, thinking that's a part of it, but the other half is that Franklin has endangered their lives, and so they're thinking, I don't want to be put in harm's way for the sake of your cause.
She did say that, right? I agree. I mean, like I said from the very beginning, Franklin, I think, should have, been a little more boisterous with Teddy in terms of that deal, that money, because. We're saying exactly the same thing. He has put his people in harm's way when you allow your deal to go bad just because somebody says so.
I think Franklin is playing his position for now. I think he's thinking of how to do it. And I think in order to take Teddy out, as you all said, they're all going to have to come together. They're going to have to be strategic about it because this is a CIA operative.
So my question is, he knows that he's watching him.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, why is he watching him? Do you think he's looking to double, he understands that he's maybe trying to double cross him, because they know that if they ever get caught, they need a scapegoat. So whereas he's been able to save Franklin before, does he understand that at some point he may want to serve Franklin up as the scapegoat?
That's
I think,
trying to serve him up potentially.
yeah, I think it's that. And I also feel like part of Teddy knows that Franklin is smart and he's going to figure out what happened to his dad. And I think that part of him is like, if he knows, he going to come for me, because I think Franklin showed him, like, you know, last season, that season finale, when he was talking that stuff to Franklin, he thought he had Franklin under his thumb. When when first Franklin was pulled the gun out on Alton, and then Alton, once Mom spoke up, he pulled the gun on Teddy, and he was like, you know, he did this and that. He wasn't there for you. You know, he tried to turn Franklin, and Franklin was like, you better put the gun down. And in that moment, I think Teddy understood that Franklin was gonna kill him if he had to.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that part of him knows, like, okay, if Franklin knows for sure that I killed his dad, he's coming for me.
Look,
But was it just
a snake is a snake. If a snake was on a busy highway and you got out your car and picked it up and put it on the side of the road, the snake gonna bite you. And then when you ask, why'd you bite me? He's gonna say, because I'm a snake.
But the thing with Teddy, with Reed, Teddy, who same person, he has lied so much. I'm sure that Franklin knows that he can't trust him, and that of course he killed my father. Who else would do that? What happened to him? To me, it's something you don't even have to think about.
But remember,
and he's smart enough to know that.
But remember, he played it off when somebody asked him, did you think, someone asked him directly, did they think Teddy killed his father?
Veronique, the new girl.
Yeah, and he played it off like whatever it was, he had it coming. And I'm like,
yeah, he was just talking. And that's what he said. But at the end of the day, that's his father. And that's why he asked the question to Teddy. He wanted to know for real.
Yeah.
Ron.
One more thing on that issue. Sorry. When Teddy was talking to the other CIA that he said, I'm talking about when you killed Franklin's father. And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. So was that an unauthorized hit, or, you know, that's
he wasn't working for the agency when that happened.
Okay.
See, sorry, that's what happens when you press mute off and on so much. You forget when you're on mute or when you're not. I was just thinking, if Teddy would have came clean and gave him some plausible explanation, listen, this is what happened. I mean, his excuse about his father was somewhat plausible to begin with. If he had gave him a real answer and told him, listen, I was a part of it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be a part of it. Would Franklin have believed that and let it go?
No.
Because I don't know. I'm not sure. No,
I don't believe that, because first of all, the deal was for them to get out of town and never come back. Right. So once they got on that plane and complied, that should have been it. Teddy took it a step further by then going to Cuba and going after him. It was supposed to have been done once he agreed to leave. So now all bets are off, and Teddy got to go for me. I want revenge.
And I think it was something that you said earlier, Tiffany, that if Franklin found out that Teddy killed his dad, he may be after his mom, and that he's not going to play with.
No.
So, you know,
I think Sissy is hiding somewhere. I think, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, CIA can find you no matter where you are.
I mean, you know, the problem with wanting to take Teddy out, as much as we all want him gone, Franklin can't do it directly. He would have to either get, you know, one of the other, I guess not even not Oso. What's his name on the show?
Yeah, it's Oso.
Gustavo. Yeah, I don't think because the other the CIA guy that's kind of like at the top calling the shots, I think he knows Gustavo too. So that kind of ties him up. I think they would have to get one of the I guess one of the middle people somewhere. If he's going back to South America or whatever, going into Mexico, he would have to get taken out in one of those foreign countries by somebody.
Look,
versus them taking him out directly here in the States.
I know they didn't have Google at the time, but he better learn. He better learn how to get some poison up in there. Remember when he sat down and he got him a cup of coffee? By my standards, that coffee should have been poison. So when you sipping on that coffee,
you should have laced that cigar. He gave him a cigar at his house.
Anything, you know.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have to figure out a way to kind of bury Teddy within his ranks. Like he's got to figure out some way to get some dirt on him to kind of, you know, turn the people that he works with or that respects him against him, because this is too high level of a guy and a very smart, cunning sociopath type dude. You got to figure out, because the other thing is, if you try to take him out in your most like plausible way that might make sense, he might see that coming. Like you can't play around with a guy like this.
But they've already exposed him. That should have been enough.
Right.
Look, he drank that coffee, Ron. So if he drank the coffee, you know,
I see what you're saying.
Coffee. He likes more than coffee.
He likes more than coffee.
Because he's poisoned a lot of people. So
yeah, take a page out of his book.
But that is true though about going to Teddy's higher ups and providing some kind of information, because this is probably going to be strike. That would be strike 3 on Teddy. He's already taken out Grady, so that's one, and he's messed up his cover and gotten exposed. So that was really strike 1, and then Grady was strike 2. And so if he does anything else that could be considered, you know, sabotaging the mission, then that would be strike 3. They would have no reason to still want to cover him. And I think really you have to go to the higher ups and try to get them to take him out.
I was going to say one more thing earlier, but I don't know, I guess I forgot it, but it just came back to me. I know this show is not called Power, but part of me thinks that, you know, while Teddy was away, just seeing how things were run, maybe he has certain issues with it and he senses some liability, different things going on, but I don't know. I think he kind of sees that Franklin was doing a hell of a job, and also getting into the real estate and kind of showing a different way of how to break this thing open, and might be repositioning himself. I think he just started to feel a little something like, I'm the man. I'm the one who really put this whole thing together. I feel like that's what's going on too.
Yeah, because he clearly said to his higher up when he was like, you know, is it gonna be a problem with you working with the asset? He was like, oh, I'm the one that made him rich, and this, that, and the other. But yeah, you made him rich and everything, but now you ain't get him that pilot license that he has, and the other things, the real estate and everything else that he's done. So yeah.
Like, you know, they always want to make us one-dimensional. And you know, and Franklin has shown that he can be a lot more than one-dimensional. And that's what's bothering Teddy.
Yeah, I think Teddy felt like I think someone was saying earlier that Franklin was expendable, but he's not. He's a lot smarter than you thought. And, you know, it just goes to how they underestimate a certain demographic at times.
Yeah, it's all right to say black people.
I don't know.
Right. I mean, and then I think about it from the family perspective, like Franklin has a lady. I mean, he doesn't know about the pregnancy, but he's flying, you know, he's living, he's doing the real estate. And then it's like, Ted, what are you doing? It's like, look at your life. Look at Franklin's life. Look at your life. So I think
that could be him. He had a wife and kid too.
Right. And do you think that once Reed finds out that Franklin has a child on the way, do you think that will change things?
Yes.
Oh no, that's why I hope he never finds out, because
he looks at that
leverage. Yeah, that's leverage. I hope he never finds out.
I was gonna say that before. I don't like this whole thing, because you know, drug dealers and families.
Yep.
It never works.
Don't always work.
And Teddy's gonna find that out. There's almost no way that he won't find that out. He already knows about her. You know, so him finding that out, and again, no matter what shows we watch, you know, when you're in this game, you know, you put so much at risk having a family, and particularly, you know, wife and a new child, because that's also can change Franklin. You know,
you have to be like Robert De Niro in Heat.
Yeah,
you have to walk away in 2 minutes. I know I took it back.
Definitely. You
The
took it.
classic.
Yeah, that's definitely a classic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you guys have any other predictions you want to throw out before we close out, or any last comments?
What I want to ask the spotters that we have, like we had them say their names, but we didn't say like what state, city they're hailing from. So I think for our viewers, we should ask them where they're from.
And then also, after y'all tell us a little bit about yourselves, give us your candidate for who can get the hands this week as well.
Oh.
So who wants to start?
Okay.
I'll go first. I mean, it's
Okay.
fine. So yeah, I mean, you guys have seen me before. Ron H. It actually said Ron Hunter. So yeah, I would say that I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And I think probably if I think about who could get the hands, this is a tough one. I don't know. Maybe
Reed,
I don't know.
dude, Reed should get the hand.
I was just thinking Teddy should get the hands, right?
All
Like,
day. Reed.
But yeah, I think Teddy. Yeah, probably Teddy, because I also think that another interesting person who should get the hands would have been a different episode was Mello, because I thought Mello trying to play his boss. I thought that was wild. Like he was sipping the Kool-Aid. So
that was
Yeah, that was
yeah,
this
he deserved
episode.
the hands too.
it was this episode, right?
Yeah,
I'm like,
Well, no, it was this episode. He deserved
Yeah.
the hands.
Yeah, I think Mello could have got the hands too. Yeah, because
Yep.
that was just it's stupid to try to undermine someone that you're working for who's that crazy and such a loose cannon without knowing a little bit more about your plan and how you want to do it. Like everything happened so quickly. He's like, okay, I'm gung ho, let's take him out. Like you can't trust that, especially if you're trying to take over and be a kingpin and be a boss or whatever you want to call it. You got to do a little bit more vetting, a little bit more research on your target.
Well, we don't have to put him on the hands list because he already got the hand.
Right.
He got
He
really
did.
did get the hands. He did. He got dealt with.
Yeah, he did.
All right, so I guess, hey, I'm Akachi. I'm here in Houston, Texas, and who could definitely get those hands is Reed / now Teddy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, he is always a candidate.
Jaunice, you want to shout your?
Yes, I am Jaunice Cromer. I'm from PG County, Maryland. And who could get the hands this week? I have two people that should get the hands, and those are the two contract killers, the women. You talking about killing people and shooting people in front of the kids.
Yeah, that was wild.
They should somewhere else take the kids to school and then come back. They get the hands.
They definitely get the hands.
Yeah.
Well,
And
what
then
about the game?
I was just gonna say, and then what she said was, "I'm so glad I did not kill you." I'm like, what?
You did not, or you did make it or something. I was like, what?
That's double negative. No, so it's
Yeah.
So
Well, what about the game ball? Like last week for our fourth recap, we instituted a spot game ball for pretty much the MVP of the episode. So who would get the game ball?
I'm giving it to
Louis.
Louis.
Oh, that's Louis.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
Louis. I
Louis.
think
It's the
I'm
game
Louis
ball.
for sure.
Louis got
Louis
that
should
sewn
get the
up.
game
The
ball.
queen.
Yes, she finessed that situation with Scully.
Yes.
agreed.
And you
I
know who
agree.
else can get the hands is that psychic. She
Oh,
it
yeah.
off.
Yeah. I was like, okay, she's
Cleo,
fraud.
Miss Cleo.
Miss Cleo took the money. I was like, oh, you fraud.
She said she saw
And
that.
you know, it was funny because they was like, I think Jerome and Lou were sitting out in the car and they was like, do you think she knows we coming?
Yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah, she knew it was in the cards. She said, "I'm gonna get me some money today."
Right. She should have known.
I was like, that's fine.
She knew something was wrong, but she was
Right.
convinced otherwise.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I enjoyed this. It was such a pleasure to have you guys join us. It's been awesome. Always good to have multiple spotters on to come and join us in discussion. And you guys bring value each and every time. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Right, thank you for having us.
Enjoy your show. Thank you for having me.
I can't get enough of y'all. So whenever, wherever, you know, just reach out. I'm here.
All right,
Awesome.
we will hold you all to that.
For sure.
Agreed.
And you know, like I always say, it pays to be a spotter. You guys got to join us in conversation with Angela Lewis. So we also want to send a shout out to her for taking time out of her day to join us. And make sure you check out that interview as well. It's a lot of good stuff in there. So that should already be up. And again, Jason, thank you for joining us, you know, family of the show.
Always a pleasure.
You like our cousin.
Cousin, that's right. We can call you Cousin Jason, you know.
That works for me. I love it. You know, I love coming back.
Yeah, we love having you too, bro.
Awesome. So to all the viewers out there, thank you for watching. Please drop down in the comment section and let us know what you thought about this episode and give us your predictions as well. Make sure that you also subscribe to our channel, like the video, and click the notification bell so that you're alerted each and every time we post. And follow us on social media at The Spot Real Talk on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all of the above. Follow us there. We reach out to you guys on there too, and you never know when you might be invited to come on. So, you know, I'm just saying.
Right. And we do these roundtables and we do them quick. So if we hit you up, hit us back quickly. You never know. It might be just us. It might not be.
Exactly. So, you know, follow The Spot Real Talk. It pays to be a spotter. If you guys have nothing else to say, I think we'll call it a night. Thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Nice.
Young niggas coming to you live from a place where nobody else know to take it. They hand out, they want us to split the pie, right? Cause they realize that we gone crazy. Yeah, I flip my pie, really did that 180. Yeah, skit. I flip my pie, really did that 180. Young niggas coming to you live from a place where nobody else know to take it. They hand out, they want us to split the pie, right? Cause they realize that we gone crazy. Yeah. I flip my pie, really did that 180. Yeah. I flip my pie, really did that 180.